You're listening to the Well Woman podcast. I'm your host, Jema, women's menstrual cycle educator, natural fertility coach, and daytime mermaid. This is a place where we discuss all things periods, poo, ovulation, fertility, and sex. Join me weekly as we rediscover our menstrual cycles, unlock its superpowers, and guide you back into your cyclical nature. Chelsey, welcome to the Well Women podcast.
Thank you, Jema.
I'm so excited to hear another Aussie accent on the podcast because I'm so used to interviewing so many different people from around the world. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Lovely to be here talking to you today.
Yes, and we're talking about such an important topic and I can't wait to dive into it. But before we do, tell us, everyone gets asked this question. What day of your cycle are you on and how are you checking in today?
Yeah, so day 9 for me, Jema, and it's a little bit different. I'm having a little bit of troubles with my cycle and things, and so yeah, day 9 because there's still a hint of like residue blood there, and I'm not liking it. So yeah, day 9.
Day 9. Well, thank you for sharing. You're like that late in a winter, that late menstrual time, and I really appreciate you being here and sharing with us during that time of your cycle. So thank you. Now, we're talking about lymphatic health today, and I think this is such an important point of health that is so often forgotten and just not even talked about. So before we talk about it, tell us, who is Chelsey Jean and how did you get into lymphatic health? Because it's such a specific niche.
Yeah, I know. And like my elevator pitch is like, hi, I'm Chelsey Jean and I rub boobs. And like I get a lot of attention for that because when it comes to the lymphatic system, most people just think of cancer and think of all the negative sides, not thinking of how they can take action themselves. And that's what I've done. I started my first business when I was 19. I'm 46 now. So I've been doing this quite a while. I've helped thousands of people wiggle and jiggle their body at home in the correct sequence to move their lymph. And when I first started, I had no idea that I was doing lymph. I didn't even know what lymph was. And then I Googled it and I saw what other therapists were teaching about it. And I'm like, hang on, that's not what I'm doing. And so, yeah, became a naturopath. I've had lots of, I've had day spas. I'm a naturopath myself, and I've just developed an easy, fun sequence that everyone can do at home to get their lymph working. And my main goal is education. And I know that your main goal is education too. And yeah, we need to make a difference and empower women that they can make a change themselves by, you know, just taking some action, checking in on themselves. And we've got 15 liters of lymph in our body, which is a decent chunk, right?
Wow. Yeah, definitely.
It's a decent chunk. And if your immune system relies on that, your hormones get transported around through your lymphatic system. It regulates the fluid in your body. Yeah. So there are so many things that it repairs. Like if you've hurt yourself, there's so many things that the lymphatic system does. And why not use it to our advantage? Hey?
I completely agree, because it can be a tool in your toolbox to good health as opposed to like a hindrance. And I think that really starts with the misconception, like you mentioned earlier. Like a lot of people just think of cancer, which isn't something to laugh about, but they consider that like the lymphatic or lymph nodes is just something that there's a challenge with. But the lymphatic system is so important. And I see a lot of women, and especially being a yoga practitioner myself for, 12, 13 years now, the legs up the wall, it's a great one to like activate the lymphatic system, but there's so much more we can do as opposed to just lying all the time with our legs up the wall.
Yes.
So let's start with the basics. Like, what is the lymphatic system?
Okay. So you've got 15 liters of this fluid in your body, and what it does, it transports your hormones around. So you've got lymph nodes in your neck, you've got lymph nodes in your belly, you've got lymph nodes all around your breasts. So many lymph nodes. So we've got all of this fluid getting transported around. It's picking up fats from your gut, transporting that. It's regulating your fluid. So whether you've got heaviness in your legs or your arms or anywhere, it's regulating those fluid levels. And it's pretty much your protector. So this fluid, as it travels back up to the lymph nodes, so your lymph nodes, think of your lymph nodes as a security gates, and all of this extra fluid comes there, and the security, which is your white blood cells, right? You've got all of your white blood cells there, your macrophages, and like all of those things, and they're like, okay, your T cells and your B cells, let me get to work and sort out what bacteria I can deal with, what viruses I can, and then it then lets that lymph through and then goes back to the heart once the body deals with it. So getting rid of pathogens, transporting fats, like think of vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. Progesterone is transported around your body via your lymph. And if you can't get progesterone transported around, your estrogen levels are going to go, increase, way too high too. So circulation, and this is the thing, the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. It doesn't have a pump, and it all has to get back to your heart. So from your feet all the way up to your heart, this lymph fluid has to flow, and it relies on you breathing deep. It relies on you moving your body and to circulate, or else it's going to be heavy, stuck, thick. When you feel through your chest, this is the other thing, Jem, like not a lot of people feel themselves, touch themselves anymore. So if you feel lumps and bumps, when you do go to the doctor, what are they going to do? They feel for any inflammation around, mainly just through your neck. They're not going to feel your chest. And so many women go, oh, I can feel some lumps and bumps. Go and have like a terrible biopsy or something done when it's just blocked lymph. And we can move that through your body yourself with your hands or with my gloves, which I'll show you how to do later. But we can help that lymph move through that 15 liters, move through your body. To take to rid the wastes.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you mentioned it doesn't have a pulse, because I know that, but so many people don't think of like, oh my God, there's so many things I want to say. In Ayurvedic health, you're either a static or you're mobile. And most of our body is mobile, but we live a very static lifestyle majorly. And so that, I love that you mentioned the lymphatic system is the only one that doesn't have a pulse. So it's actually a static system unless you move it yourself. Yes. And so most people don't have good amounts of movement in their body to activate their lymphatic system. And they also have no idea why they need to do that. So this is so important, like why you're sharing it.
And they're so toxic. Like everyone, the question isn't, am I toxic? It's how toxic am I?
Yes. And am I toxic or am I deficient? Probably both.
Yes.
Yeah, probably both. And being a naturopath, you wouldn't understand all about deficiencies. So yeah, oh my God, I'm just like, I want you to get your hands on my body and tell me how toxic I am.
Wait.
So tell us, why don't we actually learn a lot about lymphatic health? I know that there's so much out there in the world already about digestive health. There's so much about immune health. There's so much going on these days about reproductive health, thanks to the last 5 years and the changing of the menstrual cycle. But why don't we actually hear much about the lymphatic system and lymphatic health?
Because it's something that you have to take action and do. There's not a pill.
Okay. Good answer.
Yeah, there is not a pill that's going to help. It means that you actually have to get off your butt and do something. And that's where our medical system is so far behind, because the doctors are trained that we're dumb and we're not going to do what's best for us. And so there's no pill. It actually means you have to take action and move and responsibility for sitting too much and for not breathing deep enough, so that's one. That there's no money. Pharmaceuticals can't make money from that. And working on the lymphatic system is going to work on every system in your body. Like I could give you 100 improvements, testimonials that I've had in clinic this year already. Like it's amazing how much just doing a lymphatic massage is going to increase energy, get rid of fatigue. But you've got to remember that you've got your lymphatic system, which is from your neck down, the glymphatic system of your brain, how your brain gets rid of the neurotoxins, was only discovered in 2015.
Wow. That's less than 10 years ago.
Less than 10 years ago, yes. Because it has to be studied on an alive, it can't just be on a cadaver, it can't just be on someone who's passed away. It has to be studied on somebody who's alive. And who's going to put their hand up for that, really? So it's
depends if there's money on the line. I think some people would, if there was a lot of money on there, like, yeah, you can study me.
Yeah. So the glymphatic system, how our brain gets rid of toxins, like think of dementia, brain fog, your brain working, properly, sleep, like all of those things is all determined by how toxic your brain is. And like how we drain our glymphatic system is the opposite of what we've all been taught. I bet you when you put your makeup, your moisturizer on, most women will press up, right? When this is the port that we have to drain to. So when you put your moisturizer on, you have to drain, you have to push from your neck first and actually drain down. So it's very opposite to what we've been taught. And same with body brushing. Like body brushing, we've been taught to start at the extremities, okay? Because we know we need to push it towards the heart.
This is me. Chelsey's really just talking to me here because I'm a body brusher every day. Go on.
Yeah. So if your body is a train station and you've got thousands of kilometers of lymph vessels going through your body, and everything has to go through here. If this is the main station, the train station towards your heart, if all the carriages have to go through here first, right, and then they're all backed up, why would we push the carriage, right, the last carriage, into the arse of the next one before it, and then the next one before it? You're just going to cause inflammation here and then here. Why not press gently the first one through? And then it's going to create a drag, then pull the next one and then pull the next one. And then you're getting that flow happening without, it's like squeezing a tube of toothpaste with the lid still on. It all just gets mushed up in the middle.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the right nutrition, that your body feels safe enough to let go of all of those toxins, you're just going to feel heaviness. You might get sinus. You'll have those flu-like symptoms. If your liver's not working good enough to take these toxins away, you're just going to regurgitate around and around. So, yeah.
This just makes me think of when I fly long haul, because I like to think I'm a pretty healthy person. I have a pretty clean lifestyle in the sense of like my toxins in my world with how I wash my clothes and, how I wash my dishes and all that stuff, including what I put on my face. But there's nothing like the feeling of stepping off a plane that you've been sitting on for 15 hours and you feel like your legs are tree trunks. And for me, that's like a lymphatic nightmare. That's how I think of it. And I really love the fact of, dry skin brushing, because it's something that we can do so easily ourselves. But like you mentioned, like the correct way. And so for everyone listening, I have been an extremity brusher. I start at my feet and I work my way up, and then I start on I do my feet, and then I go to my chest and I go down to my chest. But tell us, for everyone listening who is a dry skin brusher or is going to learn to become a dry skin brusher from this episode, what is like you mentioned the train station, love that analogy, that like the center of your chest.
Yes.
How, like, do we start there and then do we go outwards, or do we start like in our
So start at the boobs. We always start at the boobs. So just like Tarzan, what does Tarzan do before he goes and saves Jane? Okay.
Drums on his chest. Love it.
His chest. And what do those beautiful boys do? Like the only reason we watch the start of the football is to watch the Kiwi boys do the haka, right?
Yep.
And so what are they doing? They're motivating. They're getting their lymphatic system. They're like, hey, wake up. Get ready to pick up some of this lactic acid and everything that we're pushing through. So start at the chest, start at the boobs always. Okay, so, and you wiggle through your chest, wiggle through your boobs, actually feel, like, is there any lumps and bumps? Is there any tenderness? Is there thickness? Is it like a rocky road? So they're indications that there is either blockages in your lymph, or your lymph is thick, or whether your tissue like needs iodine or something like that. If your tissue is too congested for anything to be able to flow properly through that lymph tissue. So actually feel, and that this is my theory of why men are attracted to boobs, is to stimulate the women's lymphatic system first, to wiggle and jiggle through the boobs.
I love this theory, because men in like typical are either arse men or they're boobs men. Now that's very stereotyping.
Yes.
But I love that terminology for why men can be attracted to women's boobs for heterosexuals.
Yeah. And what do you think is one of the biggest things that stops lymph flow that women wear and men don't?
Bras.
Bras.
Oh my God, I'm bra free right now.
Yes.
I have not worn a bra in so long. But yeah, it's very restrictive.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to stop that flow of lymph. And bras cause saggy boobs. Okay. The more you wear a bra, the more you hold up those babies with your bra, means that the tissue, the muscles in your chest don't have to work. They're on holidays. So that means that they're going to get looser. So bras cause saggy boobs.
Can we, like, this is the message, everyone, we are entering a bra-free year.
Yes.
2023. Throw the bras out. And it's actually funny. I know, Chelsey, you're from Australia and live in Queensland like I do. On my 3-month trip in 2022, we went through Longreach. For Aussies, you might know where Longreach is, and the CWA house there, the whole fence is covered in bras, like the whole fence. And it's quite a big property, and I was like, oh my God. So I just had a vision of and I was like, I don't have a bra to donate because I don't have bras.
Yes.
But that's fantastic news. So we start at the chest and we work our way down to the nipples. Yes. So chest down to the nipples. And what about
the heart? So just if you imagine your body as a lake and we drop a stone at your chest. So that's the main part. And then where those little ripples come out, so then the next circle is where you then push from. And then that next circle is where you then push from. So you can work at the chest first, add in your deep breath, of course, like add that internal pump, massage through with your hands or with my gloves, and then you can go down your arm, but always pressing up towards the heart. Okay, so working down your arm, but always pressing up. Then the other side. So we use the gloves and we do it with the spiky side of the glove first, naked, before the shower. Use it as your dry skin brush, like brushing through and then down your arm and then across to the other side. When it comes to tummy, we follow the digestion tract. So we go clockwise around the tummy, and then we go from back to front. Lymph will always flow from back to front. So we flow from back to front. And then when we get to hips, so I can tell whether my clients wear the same undies every day because they have this line and same style of undies every day, because they have a line and then they have this chunky bit of fluid that sits just below that undie line, and that's blocked lymph. It's not fat because they wear that same undies. So reduce the wearing of bras and change the style of undies. So one day wear a G-string, one day wear none, one day wear boy legs. Men's undies are great too. Change where that layer of elastic lands on your body, because that is blocking your lymph. Sitting is blocking your lymph. Any abdominal surgery, any scarring, any surgery is also going to cause a problem with your lymphatic system that we have.
I'm thinking of cesareans.
Cesareans, boom. So many cesareans, have you will see that pocket that sits there, and it's because the lymph just needs to be activated and shown where to go.
So we go back to front,
and then get into the hips. If you've got cellulite or like any of that, you just want to go harder, and you just use your brush, activate.
I think you're not human if you don't have cellulite.
Exactly. But if you care about it, if you want to change the structure of the tissue, then go a little bit harder. Make sure you get that redness, make it red, get that collagen activated. Then you work down your leg, so you can whack your leg up on on a stool and then get into it working down, but always pressing up towards your heart.
I love the feeling of dry brushing on my legs. It's like addictive, kind of like tongue scraping. You know, once you start, you can't stop. You just have to keep going. So a question, like with a dry skin brush, there's always different types, right? So you can have like brush, like some look like a loafer, some have actual bristles, like a brush, kind of like a horse brush, you could say. I don't know, like a dog brush. And then you've got a rubber one. So is there a difference between all of them?
Yeah, I've spoke to a lot of ladies, a lot of European ladies who have dry skin brushed by using the actual, the timber brush with the bristles. And they go, oh, no, I dry brush. Then they start using my glove. And within 3 days, they are feeling a little bit sick. They've stirred up so much more toxins in their body, and then they swap completely to my glove. So we've got the spikes on the one side, and then we've got the roller magnetic balls on the other. So the sequence that we do is spiky all over your body first, jump into the shower, hop back out. And I've also developed my own lymphatic cream, and you put that on your body because we have to give the body and the skin nutrition to be able to work properly. And I make this gem, like my family and I, we mix it ourselves. We put it into the bottles ourselves. We put the labels on ourselves.
So I love this, Chelsey.
This is a family, like my son's now 16, and like we've done this since he was little. And, you know, my mum and my dad, and that's what we do. And we're now up to making like 1,000 liters at a time.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's super cool to do that. So you put the lymphatic cream. Nobody can make a cream like mine because we make it in house. We've got lots of active ingredients, lots of essential oils, lots of herbs. And I'm going to send you some, of course, and you can have a feel. And then we've got the rollerball side, which makes my gloves different. So they're magnet.
Very different. And if you're listening to this and you can't see this, they look like the little magnet balls that you would use to like draw energy.
Yes. Yeah. So then we are rolling over, and it's a little bit slower and more intent on moving the thickness of the lymph. And like what confused me when I first started, and I was doing lots of massaging, and I had sort of like Gloria Marshall machines. I was mixing helping people who couldn't exercise because of mobility issues. And the inflammation had gone down in their body. The pain had gone away. Their mobility had increased so much. Their size, like they were losing weight. I'm like, oh, I'm doing lymph. And then when I researched it, everyone was just saying that you have to do this super soft, you know, gentle, don't break the lymph moves all over the body. And I'm like, holy shit, like I'm a deep tissue therapist. I make people cry. I must have broken all of have you ever had a deep tissue?
I have. Yes, I have. And I actually have a deep tissue massage booked later today.
Yeah. So how are you still walking? How are you still living with broken lymph? Because
I know, right?
Oh, how?
That's so interesting.
Yeah. It didn't make sense to me at all. Lymph goes all the way up your spine. Like it's deep. It's everywhere.
Yeah. I think a really great question to ask on top of that is gua sharing. Yeah. So in traditional Chinese medicine, I've actually been researching body gua shes, and my friends over at Super Feast, my beautiful friend Tani and Mason own that business, and they do all like magic mushrooms. They're not drugs, they're medicinal mushrooms. And they have body gua shes. And when you research a body gua sha, it's all about bringing redness and blood flow to the skin. Yes. And for me, even because I have my own cupping set, so I do my own cupping at home, and I do my own gua sharing on my face, and I have facial cups, and it brings the redness to the skin, you know. And what is the difference? Actually, sorry, I'll just say that it makes it seem funny when they're just so lightly touching on the lymphatic system, when the gua sha is like, get in there, girl, like really deep. So what's the difference between dry skin brushing and gua sharing if you're doing the proper gua sha technique? Yeah, so as long as you're following the sequence. Okay. If you you got to start. So with your face, you got to, first of all, unblock through the chest, like pop the cork. We treat your body as a bottle of champagne. We pop the cork, and then all the bubbles can flow. Is popping the cork, taking off the bra, because
Yes.
that could be like popping the cork for some people.
Yeah.
Yep.
So popping the cork, like doing your Tarzan on your chest, breathing, opening up that area, and then you're going to drain down your neck. So hopefully you start with your, I use a toothbrush. I brush, so instead of having the spikes, I use a toothbrush and I brush down my neck, and then you're going to push from your chin across to your ear. We call it the wagon wheel area, and then back down again. And then we're going across and down and across and down. And then the same on the other side. As long as you're following that drainage sequence, fine, I'm happy.
So center of the face. So let's say I get to my nose. Am I going from my cheek across to my ear?
Ear and then down.
And then down. Okay. It's not like, let's throw all the toxins in the ear.
Ear and then down. So
fantastic.
And then down.
And then the same on the forehead, across and then down.
Same. Yeah. So see, you don't have, I've got a line that marks the middle of my head. See, it makes it easy.
And it's like a squint line. I'm always talking to my partner B about like, stop squinting. You've got these lines in the middle. Like you're going to have so many indented facial expression lines.
Yes.
But I don't really have enough skin, or my eyebrows aren't close enough together for that for me.
That's what I joke about my line. So you're going across and down. So starting at the closest point, always working your way down, and then across, and then down. And that's how you're draining your brain. So to help with your lymphatic system, you follow that sequence of massage. You sleep on your left-hand side. You actually
good. I do that.
Yes. Yeah. So sleep on your left-hand side, and have all your essential fatty acids as well for your brain health. Yeah. But that's the sequence. And so I take my glove on the plane. I take my glove to the pub, because if I'm going to be drinking, I'm going to push that lymph through, right? And then I can drink more. And then I can recover better the next day as well. I
love that.
Yeah. So I take my glove. So my body is so in tune with this. So in my clinic, we've got 5 treatment rooms. I can walk in and it just happens to happen now. All I have to hear is this. And I've got goosebumps like all over my legs, all over. I don't know if you can see. I've got a lymphatic push. I just have to hear the noise.
And so for those who are listening, that's Chelsey clapping her gloves together. That's fascinating. And I think, everyone's going to take so much out of this episode because 1, we need to know more about the lymphatic system. And 2, you actually have so much control to be able to activate the lymphatic system. And I love how simply you've been able to put it, because it really is just about activating it and connecting with it daily. And I think if we look at lifestyle, certain foods and certain lack of movement contributes to poor lymphatic health. Is that correct?
Yes. 100%. And it builds up slowly. Like it builds up. You can imagine a picture of a house, and your house can pick up leaves in the gutter. It can have your washing like starting to pile up in the laundry. Your sinks can get blocked. You can get soap scum. If the garbage disposal isn't working, what's going to happen? You're going to build up the sink. If the garbage bin man isn't coming to pick up the garbage, the house is still going to be there. The structure of the house is still okay, but it's going to be smelly. Your mood isn't going to be good. You're not going to want to be there. You're not going to want to invite friends over, because you're like, you're going to have to start closing off those doors as well.
Shoving everything in the cupboards.
Shoving in the cupboards, yeah. So like hiding yourself in bigger clothes, same type of thing. You're not going to feel great about yourself, but the structure is still, you're not going to die overnight, okay? But it's going to build up slowly. But I bet you if I said Chris Hemsworth is coming to dinner at the end of the week, I bet you would get your finger out and you would clean and do the washing. You'd be on the phone to the council, come and pick up these bins, right? You would actually take some action and do better if you knew about it. So a lot of people don't know that, every single chronic issue has something to do with the lymphatic system, and you can do this sequence. You can learn about it, and it doesn't, what I don't understand is, we've got all these beautiful lymph nodes all through our body, like hundreds of them. When the doctor removes these lymph nodes, just for precaution, where is the body going to now take the waste? Where's it going to take all of those toxic materials, all the viruses, all that bacteria? Well, where's it going to take it?
Such a good point. And sometimes the removal of things is not always the best. And I love that you brought that up. So thank you. For everyone who's like, I'm going to start dry skin brushing now that Chelsey's given me the direct information. What are some things that people might see different? So when some people start using and activating their lymphatic system, you mentioned energy, you mentioned fatigue, but what are the differences that they can see and expect?
Okay. So if you picture your body as a mat on the floor, and I don't know whether your mat has been vacuumed and cleaned every day. I don't know if your dogs are inside, you've got your cat laying on there where the kids have thrown up and peed like all over this mat. So when we start shaking your body up, when we start moving your lymph around, I need to make sure that you're pooing, that your body can eliminate with like pooing. I need to make sure that your liver is, I don't know how your liver function is. I don't know if you sweat. I don't know how good you breathe, because that's how we get rid of fat, is through our respiratory system, through our breath. So when we start shaking up the mat, I'm hoping that you don't just have a Kmart special vacuum cleaner, that you've got a Dyson to be able to suck that shit up and get it out, because we want you to have more energy. I want you to feel lighter. I want more movement. We need to get that inflammation, because the lymph is what your cells are bathing in.
Love that terminology.
Yeah. And if it's bathing in a muddy, yucky, smelly environment, what else can you expect?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. But if we can change the environment that your cells are living in by increasing our water, making sure you're pooing, making like at least twice a day, you got the bowel movements happening, supporting your liver, putting the right things in, because we ask the question, what is your body's ability to eliminate? And are you moving in a direction that you're assisting it to?
Yes,
so,
I love that.
Yeah. So let's make sure, because a lot of the times, like when I first started doing this, I was using my gloves like a mofo, and I'm demonstrating and I'm like doing everything. After day 3, I had flu-like symptoms. I was so tired. I had a sore throat. My eyes looked like I'd been crying. So we're having all these detoxification symptoms, and I'm a healthy naturopath.
You look very healthy.
We have to go gentle. We have to we're shaking the mat, which is fantastic, but we also have to make sure that your body is healthy enough to eliminate the waste.
Yeah. You can't just take all the supplements and not make any other changes.
Yes.
You really have to be able to create some great change that complements, the reaction or the response to activating the lymphatic. I love that. So yes, nourishing food, more water. Water is so important.
Yes.
And we don't have time to talk about the quality of water, but I don't think enough people understand the quality of their water, and looking at that is vitally important, for the river of life of your body. But you mentioned just a little bit earlier that, is it fat or is it lymph, like around cellulite? And I feel that we live in a world today where we're expected to not have any cellulite, but the question is it fat or is it lymph? And how do we know the differences between the two?
Yeah. And it takes a little bit, because we call it we can tell by the feel. We can tell by the feel and by the touch of if it's lymph. And when I have someone on the table and I move their lymph around their body, it moves. So you will feel the difference, and the fat would just stay there if it was just fat. So you can feel it once you're doing the sequence correctly. You can definitely feel it. So, but then we've got things like lymphedema and lipedema. With 1 in 10 women now getting diagnosed with lipedema, which is toxic fat stores that are never going to go away. It's lymphedema, and we can talk another time on all of these other things. But getting rid of the fluid, because a lot of the time the body holds onto fluid because it needs to put out a fire. If your diet is too acidic, You know, if your body is acidic, it needs to hold on that fluid to put the fire out. And if we can start alkalining a little bit more, your body moving that fluid through, like assisting the lymphatic system, explaining to it, say, hey, you know, you can move through this way now. Yes, I know that you've had some surgery. Yes, I know that I'm not breathing correctly. Yes, I know that I'm packed full of like estrogens and all of the wrong hormones, and I'm, you know, not eating the right foods and toxic environment, blah, blah, blah. Like a disconnection from joy is what Louise Hay says about the lymphatic system, the energy behind it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not having fun. Who's had fun in the last 2 years? Like we're trying the best we can, but it's very hard when everyone's stressed and in fear to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic as well.
Laughter and fun, so important. But thank you for identifying that, because I feel like a lot of people just go, oh, it's cellulite. But what if it was the lymph and you're using that as an excuse to not address that?
Tissue. That's right. That connective tissue.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we need to get that lymph moving through. You will definitely notice a difference with cellulite once you start doing this sequence. And when you use your gloves, like actually get in and like move it around. There's lots of videos of me just in my undies online that you can watch and see me doing the sequence. We have 10,000 women in our boob camp Facebook group, and I educate in there every month free. Whatever I can do, Jema, just like you, with education to get it out there and make it less of a taboo subject.
Yeah.
And I need everyone to tell their neighbor, tell their sister, tell their friends, and it's not just women. Like, men are so toxic.
Yes. You don't get cut out very easily here, men. But it's for all humans, because every body has a lymphatic system. And so activating and connecting with that is so important. Now, for female reproductive bodies and the lymphatic system, is there any links between the menstrual cycle and the lymphatic system? And could the lymphatic system health or staticness contribute to cycle imbalances like irregular periods, delayed ovulation, infertility? You mentioned earlier that the lymphatic system moves progesterone around the body.
More, because they're fattier molecules, and lymph moves fat. So that's why it's going to pick up and move progesterone more. But anything to do with any swelling, any bloating in your body is going to restrict lymph flow. So any of that pressure, extra pressure, so that's going to stop the lymphatic system from moving those hormones through as well. Toxins, of course, too, have a lot to do with your cycle. And like some people who don't sweat, I find, have heavier cycles too. So trying to activate and get rid of, if we can get rid of our waste in other ways, it's definitely going to have an impact on the liver, and then of course your hormones. So moving, being nice to you, breathing, like all the way through those, your cycling, times, I find really important, because we do swell up quite a bit. So if you can just be gentle with imagine if your breasts don't get sore, and that's just a blocking of lymph. So if you can just be nice to your chest, be nice to your boobs, and start massaging through your chests, unblocking the lymphatic system, then that's going to help all around your tummy, and then of course, all through your reproductive organs as well.
Yeah. And so it's such a simple thing that we can look after for ourselves and we can do at home. So tell us, what are the ways that we actually can support a healthy lymphatic system? So we've talked about dry skin brushing. We've talked about drinking clean water. We've talked about moving our bodies, but what are the top, say, 5 things that we can do on a daily basis to maintain the good lymphatic health?
Okay. So making sure that you're not adding too much toxins in to start with. Everybody knows what's good and what's bad, really. We're not that silly. We do know.
We're not silly anymore.
Yeah, we do know. We do know what's best for us to put in and not. Of course, it has to be water, and then it has to be movement. Even laughing. What are you doing? Like laughing. You're going to be working on your lymphatic system, like smiling and through your body. And then like you're bouncing, you're moving your body. Restrictive clothing. Restrictive clothing has to, yes, you're going to have, when you're exercising, put your crop top on if you've got big boobs. Like, do all of it. If you're horse riding, the last thing you want is like to put all of that on and boobs flying everywhere. Like, we need to do that. But our young girls really need to stop with these push-up tight bras. Definitely that has to happen. Moving, breathing, drinking your water, and relieving the body of too much of a toxic overload, and do this 2 minutes a day sequence at home.
2 minutes of dry skin brushing.
Yeah, 2 minutes. That's it. You can do it laying down. You can do it naked. Like before, that's why we use the rollerball side of the gloves, and you do that over top of your clothes.
Yep.
Yeah. So
You're a genius, Chelsey. You're a genius. I love this. So all of those little notes will be in our show notes of the episode. But like you said, it's so easy to do, but it's also very easy not to do. So reduce toxins, breathe, water, move your body, even if it's laughing yoga maybe. Remove restrictive diets. You've heard it here. We are going underwear free. No bras, no underwear. Yes. We are free balling everywhere. And dry skin brushing. Chelsey, this has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm so, grateful that you've been here to share all of your beautiful analogies. Someone else who loves analogies with us. How can people find you? Like, what's the best place for them to find you and connect with you to learn more about your gloves, cream that you make, and, your educational resources?
Yeah, so on Facebook, it's Chelsey Jean Lymphatics. And then from there, you can go on to Boob Camp, as in boobies, Boob Camp, 2 words. Instagram is the same, Chelsey Jean Lymphatics. I make some fun stories. You can follow along with testimonials, what I'm doing in clinic as well. Listen to real people's stories. And I never get sick of listening to all the different, side effects that people have been having from having their treatments. So it's from brain health to better sleep to less aching teeth to getting back to work so much faster and changes in bodies, weight loss, all of those things. So yeah, follow along on stories is pretty cool too. I love doing that. And I teach if anyone's interested in learning, if they are a practitioner, if you're a massage therapist, a PT, doctors, I teach a 1-day workshop. So you can spend a whole day with me, either in person on Zoom, and learn all the education on the lymph and learn what I do in clinic. And then you can duplicate what I do and take it to your own space and make your own business out of it as well.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. We'll be putting all of those links, like I said, in the show notes. So if you want to come and find out more about Chelsey, you can do that there. Chelsey, this has been amazing. I have one final episode question for you. We're changing gears though, right? So this is not about the lymphatic system. I ask every guest this question, and I want you to think back to your younger menstruating self, Chelsey. So when you got your period for the first time, what are 3 things that you wish you had have known then that you now know today?
Yeah, so I just remember using folded up toilet paper. I just remember going and playing sport and not being educated, not being told anything really about it. So yeah, education would be, and that it wasn't taboo, that we could talk and communicate and learn more. So yeah, as soon as you said that, it's like, oh yeah, rolled up bits of toilet paper, and then trying to flush that to make your own pad, and then trying to flush that down the toilets at a hockey tournament. I just wasn't fun. Didn't like it at all. So yeah, I'd love there to be more education. I'd like boys to sort of know more about it too.
Yes. We all exist because of a menstrual cycle. So education for all genders is really important. Chelsey, thank you so much. This has been absolutely a pleasure, and I'm so grateful for your time and all of your juicy content. So thank you for being here and sharing everything about the lymphatic system.
Oh, thank you so much, Jema. I've loved it, and I can't wait to get you on my table.
Love that too. Thank you so much for tuning into every episode of the Well Woman podcast. For everything we mentioned in today's episode, you can find this in the show notes over at wellsome.com/podcast. If this episode excited you, please hit follow on Spotify, which means all of my episodes will pop up in your feed weekly so you never miss a weekly drop. I'd love you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts too. Love this episode? Come and follow me over on Instagram at wellsome_Jema. Say hi and share what you've taken away from this episode with me. Now, is there a bestie, sister, or a friend who you know who might be fed up, frustrated, and confused with their cycles? Are they ready to join you in awakening their cyclical essence too? Well, take a screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your socials, email it, text it, or any way you need to get it to them. So together we can all live in flow, harmony, and balance with our cycles. Now, until next time, beautiful, get connected, listen to your body, and remember, body confidence all begins with living in tune with your menstrual cycle.